welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. It's hard to believe we made it to the Garage Ed segment already, and we're going to talk about power steering pumps, man. Everything you need to know, and also on the car, Dave's going to show us everything you need to know to keep that system in tip-top shape. Let's understand what a power steering pump actually does. Well, it produces pressure. It's the heart of the system. You can see up there with our actual rack and pinion system, it's going through the spool valve and it's pushing on that rack either right or left. Bottom one down there, you can actually see it in our gearbox. Our gearbox is pushing down there on that actual spool valve to the right or left, moving it as it goes. That ball nut's gonna move, it's gonna help you turn. Now, when it comes to pumps, all different types of pumps. You can see at the top there, it's a roller type pump. In the middle is a vane type pump. We actually have one blown apart here on the table, and a slipper type pump. Now what's going on with these? Basically the pump's just actually putting the fluid in on the low pressure side. It's coming in, and these vanes, rollers, or slippers are actually pressurizing in it to a tighter chamber, and then it's allowed to exit out of the back of the pump. I can show it to you right here in action. This is pretty cool. So if you look at the pump right here, you can actually see this is a vane type pump. So I'm gonna tip it up a hair and I'm gonna spin it. And what happens, I can't spin it fast enough, but if I did spin it fast enough, centrifugal force would go around and throw these vanes out. I think I could pick one out here, kind of hanging up there with the fluid. If I pick it out a little bit, you'll see. They're gonna fly out like that. Once they do that, I'm going from the small chamber, I'm running around, I'm pressurizing it to a smaller chamber, and then that's gonna develop the pressure. Now, when it comes to the power steering pumps, a couple of tricks. When you're pulling a power steering pump pulley, it's super important that you use the right tool. Throw away the pry bars, throw away all the different methods you had, because you're gonna damage the pump. How do you do it? Well, simply go to RockAuto.com, and that's where I got this one. You have to have a puller set. You can see it right here. Pretty simple to use. Follow the instructions. I'm just gonna go across here. I'm actually gonna lock that in there. When I lock that in there, I'm gonna put a little pressure and hold this. I'm gonna pull that pulley actually off the pump. Now be careful, it's super hard. You're gonna have to put a lot of effort into that. These are press fit. Now, if you want to put it back on, just reverse the procedure. You're going to have to pull the tool out, use a little adapter in here, and make sure you use the bearing, and then just put it on there and push it on. Make sure it's flush so your belt alignment's good. Make sure you check your belt alignment after you put your pulley on your power steering pump. If you want to do a couple of pressure checks, just get your pressure gauge, go in series with the actual pressure line. You need a good high pressure gauge. Then you're going to turn the wheel to the right or to the left. That's going to give you that full pressure. Then the pump should bleed by. So you can see what's going on if it's actually working properly. Now think about this for a minute. If you get a power steering failure, whether it's a rack and pinion or a gearbox, you've got metal floating through that whole system. So please, anytime you replace a power steering pump, put an inline filter right in there. This will catch all the debris that's going in there, and it'll help your pump last a long time, and you're not going to do damage to that new pump with all that metal floating around in the system. And just as important is make sure you use the right fluid. One size does not fit all. There's fluids for all the different manufacturers. There's different fluids for each system. I know we used to just take that old Mercron, put it in there, and we were good to go. Not anymore. The seals, the compatibility, you need the right fluid. You need a actual filter in there as well. Now, there's some more tech tips, and basically, flushing the system is super important. So Dave's going to show us how.
Well, John, I was going to flush this system like you wanted me to, but I found out on the Dodge it's actually an electric system, not hydraulic. So I grabbed a model here so we can see how to do that. Now, if you're a professional shop, you've got one of these. It's a flushing system for your power steering. More likely, if you're at home, you've got one of these for $3.98. You got a nice bucket. You're going to want to put that under the car, right under your power steering pump, and you're going to begin the process of flushing it. To do that, first of all, you want to disconnect the return line. Make sure you're not disconnecting the pressure line. Check your service manual to make sure you've got the right line. And once you've got that line off, you want to start the vehicle. Have a buddy do that while you are back here at the power steering pump. You're going to pour the fluid in. You remove the cap off the top, pour the fluid in, and it's going to drain out into the bucket. When it starts draining clear, you know your system is flushed and you are ready to go. But you're not quite finished yet, because you want to make sure that you bleed the system just like you would with the brakes. Make sure you get all the air out of your power steering system. In the old days, you do that by running the car and turning the steering to the left and to the right. You do that a number of times until all the bubbles come out of the system. Well, these days, it's a little more complicated, and you want to grab one of these vacuum pumps, and it would have an adapter that goes in the top of your power steering pump, and you just Actuate this until all the air is out of the system and you are good to go. And oh, by the way, check your service manual to make sure you have the right fluid for your vehicle. When we return to Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com, we're still talking fluids, this time engine oil. Don't miss it.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Tech Garage, but what you might not know, we have a sister show called Motorhead Garage. You could have seen me on there years past. I'm missing it, but Dave, what a phenomenal show that is as well.
Well, John comes back and guest hosts every once in a while. But at Motorhead Garage, we do what a lot of other folks don't do. They're building cars and everything. We're showing you the coolest products for your car, for your truck, anything that goes, we have it at Motorhead Garage.
Man, I got my DVR set. I'm watching it every Sunday morning. Join me and watch Motorhead Garage. Dave does a phenomenal job. What a great informational show with some great products.